Hello, bruvs. We're back with Clarice Lispector's Near to the Wild Heart. This is Chapter 11, Under the Teacher's Protection. Joanna remembered it well. Days before getting married, she had gone to see her teacher. She had suddenly felt the need to meet him, to listen to him, unyielding and cold, before going away. For in a sense, she had the impression of betraying her entire past by marrying. She wanted to see her teacher again, to feel his support, and when the idea occurred to her of paying a visit, she had calmed down, feeling relieved. He would have to give her the right word. What word? Nothing, she replied to herself mysteriously, wishing with sudden faith and expectation to wait and listen to him, completely inexperienced, without having any idea of what she was about to gain. This had happened to her once before, when she had prepared herself for a visit to the circus as a little girl. The best moments had been spent getting ready, and when she approached the broad field where the huge round tent loomed white, like one of those silver domes that conceal until a certain moment the best dish on the table, when she approached holding the maid's hand, she felt fear and anguish and a disquieting happiness in her heart. She wanted to go back, to escape. When the maid told her, "Your father has given us money to buy popcorn," then Joanna looked at things in wonderment, under the sunny evening sky, as if they were hallucinating. She knew that the teacher had become ill, that his wife had abandoned him. But although he had aged, she found him stouter and bright-eyed. She had also been afraid, to begin with, that their last dinner together, when she had fled in alarm towards puberty, might make the visit awkward, leave them feeling uneasy in that same strange, creepy room where the dust had overcome the polish. The teacher had received her with a serene, distracted air. With those dark circles under his eyes, he reminded her of an old-fashioned portrait. He questioned Joanna, but the moment she tried to answer, he stopped listening, as if no longer under any obligation. She interrupted herself a number of times, her attention directed at the clock and the small table with the medicines. She looked all around her, and the semi-darkness was humid and stifling. The teacher was like a great tomcat, reigning supreme in a cellar. "Now you can open the windows," he said. "You know what I mean, a little darkness and then plenty of fresh air. Your whole body benefits, receives a new lease of life, just like a neglected child. When it receives everything, it suddenly reacts, blooms again, sometimes even more than the other children." Joanna had flung the windows and doors wide open, and the cold air entered with a triumphant blast. A little sunshine came through the door behind him. The teacher had unbuttoned the collar of his pajama jacket, exposing his chest to the wind. "It's like this," he had declared. Looking at him, Joanna discovered that he was nothing but a fat old man sitting in the sun, his sparse hairs caught in the breeze, his great body sprawled out in the chair, and his smile, dear God, a smile. When the clock struck 3, he had suddenly become restless, had halted in mid-sentence, and, with measured gesture, his expression avid and sober, had counted 20 drops from a phial into a glass of water. He had raised it to eye level, observing it, his lips pursed, wholly absorbed. He had drunk the dark liquid fearlessly, then stared at the glass with a sour expression and a half-smile which she couldn't explain. He had placed it on the table, had clapped his hands, summoning the houseboy, a skinny, apathetic black youth. He had waited for him to return in silence, alert as if he were trying to listen at a distance. Only when he had received the washed glass, examined it carefully, and turned it upside down on the saucer, had he given a little sigh. "Now then, what were we saying?" She went on, observing him, without paying any attention to the words themselves. Nothing in the man's expression betrayed his wife's departure. Fleetingly she saw that figure again which she had so feared and detested, nearly always silent, the face aloof and imperious. And despite the revulsion that other women still aroused in her, in a moment of reminiscence Joanna had discovered to her surprise that not only then, but perhaps always, she had felt herself united to her. as if both of them had something secret and wicked in common. Nothing in his appearance betrayed his wife's departure. There was even a new-found tranquility in his attitude, a composure that Joanna had never noticed before. She studied him almost as anguished as waters swollen by the rain, whose depth was now difficult to judge. She had come to hear him, to feel his clear sightedness like some point of anchorage. The torture of a strong man is greater than that of a sick one. She had tried to make him speak. He had barely raised his eyes. Her words had hovered in midair, foolish and timid. I'll go on. It's precisely in my nature never to feel ridiculous. I always venture on to any platform. Ottavio, on the other hand, is such a sensitive creature that it only takes a pointed smile to demolish him and make him feel miserable. He would listen to me, now feeling uneasy or smiling. Was Ottavio already thinking inside her? Had she already become transformed into a woman who listens and waits for her man? She was giving up something. She wanted to save herself, to hear the teacher, to shake him, so this old man before her no longer remembered everything she had told him. To sin against herself. The sick envisage that the sick envisage I can't do it. The sick envisage the world and the healthy possess it, Joanna had continued. The sick think they cannot because of their illness, and the strong feel that their strength is useless. Yes, yes, he shook his head timidly. She perceived that his unease was only that of someone who doesn't wish to be interrupted. She had gone on, however, to the end, her dull voice repeating the thought she had had for a long time. That's why the poetry of poets who have suffered is sweet and tender, while the poetry of others, of those who had been deprived of nothing, is ardent, anguished, and rebellious. Yes, he was saying as he adjusted the loosened collar of his pajama jacket. Humiliated and perplexed, she saw his dark, wrinkled neck. Yes, he said from time to time without taking his eyes from the clock as he searched for some support. How could she tell him that she was about to get married? At 4 o'clock the ritual had been reenacted. This time the black youth ducked in order to avoid a kick in the pants, for he had almost dropped the medicine bottle. Having missed its target, the teacher's slipper went up into the air, exposing his naked foot with its curved, yellowing toenails. The boy had caught the slipper and thrown it to Joanna, laughing, afraid of getting too close. After the glass had been put away, she had ventured the first word about his illness, slowly, embarrassed, for never before had they penetrated the intimacy of their own circumstances. They had always understood each other on the surface. There was no need to try to get any closer. He had taken up the subject, broached it gently, and with obvious satisfaction. He carefully explained all the details. His attitude was a little patronizing and mysterious to begin with, as he found it impossible to believe that she could penetrate his world. But after a few moments, oblivious of her presence and somewhat animated, he was already talking quite openly. The doctor has told me that I'm still not better, but I'm going to be fine. I know more than any of these doctors, he had added. After all, I'm the one who's ill. She had finally discovered to her astonishment that he was happy. It was almost 5 o'clock. She felt that he was longing for her to leave, but she couldn't leave him like this. She tried to press him further. She had cruelly looked him straight in the eye. He had repaid her with a look of mild indifference to begin with, and then immediately shunned her, angry and disturbed. Okay, then. That's all for that chapter. Goodbye, bros. Goodbye.